It's almost 5 after. But Julia's on too. All right, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. The Architectural Licensing Board meeting on November 18th. It is now 9:04 a.m. So the first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the two sets of minutes, the September 23rd regularly scheduled ALB meeting and the October 27th special meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second,
I did not attend either, so.
I have to,
Frank, can I, Luann?
yeah, I have to abstain, I think, from October 27th.
Okay, can I get a second? We can't hear, we're gonna assume you second, Luann, even though I can't hear you. You don't look like you're muted, but, okay. Discussion on the minutes. Let's do the September 23rd ones first.
Phil, I think I had a couple
know.
of comments. So I was hoping we could get back both in the agenda and the minutes, the number of the meeting. I think we're on the 703rd or 4th meetings. Remember, we used to have that.
Yep. So yeah, Shannon, you could probably look back, or maybe Bob can give you that, but just at the top of it, it always said this is the number meeting of whatever number meeting we were on. So it's just nice to have it on there if you can add that for us.
Okay, I didn't see that on the previous minutes that were forwarded to me, to attach to meetings. Obviously, I wasn't in the role just yet, so
Fine.
I'll touch base with Rob and see what number we're on going forward.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you have to go back to the March or May meetings to get the
Right.
number.
Yeah, I don't have access to that, so Rob would have those for me, I'm sure.
Yep, I could track that down.
That'd be
Thank you.
great, Bob. We appreciate it. Angela, I know you had a couple other comments.
The one I can think of now is the special meeting you guys had about hearing. Looks like it ended at 9:30 p.m.
Oh, that,
Yeah,
Sorry,
so
I
that's just
forgot
a
that
typo.
was a special meeting. Okay,
Yeah.
I was at that.
I'm sorry if you were in a 12-hour meeting, but I don't think you were.
That'll be fixed.
Okay. Anybody else have any other comments?
You know what, Shannon, or Phil, if I could?
Yep.
Going back to the 23rd, September 23rd meeting, just a technical thing. The footer needs to be corrected. It shows minutes for July 15th.
No, 100% correct, right? Yeah. Any other comments?
Sorry, yeah, I had one more. The descriptions of the item numbers seem to be very brief. So for example, I couldn't understand the discussion of the CEUs under the September meeting. I don't need to understand that right now. I'm just saying that one sentence description didn't quite give enough detail for somebody to understand what the discussion was about.
Got it. Agreed. Okay, based on those revisions, can I get them? I guess we can we do these together as one? We did them as one motion, so we're going to do them as one approval. So all in favor of approving the minutes as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, so next item on the agenda is comments or concerns of any person present today.
Can I intervene for a minute? There were so many windows lighting up. Who was the first and second of the motion for the minutes?
Twig made the motion and Luann seconded.
Thank you so much.
Can you guys hear me better now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Great. Thank you.
Good morning.
Gina, I think you're the only other person. Do you have anything you wanted to talk about? We could talk about that person if you want. I can't remember her name.
If you want to bring that up, for me to bring it up now, I just wanted to know what the process was, because I'm hearing conflicting information as far as someone receiving their license in the mail before they have been approved by the board, because it is AIA's process that you cannot change your designation to AIA until you add your license number to the application. And there's somebody that I know that isn't on the list today, nor has been on the list before, that said she received her license and has changed her designation.
You know, if I could chime in,
Please.
Dominic Moore. You mentioned that was her name, Gina?
Yes, that's correct, Bob.
Yeah, she was licensed by Reciprocity, exam waiver from New York State on November 9th.
That's interesting. So how is it, she's never been licensed before, she then, just so I understand, I'm sorry to take your time, but
Oh.
she was licensed by New York and then that was quickly Reciprocity?
Well, once you get the license, you can immediately apply for reciprocity, but she must have been licensed like a little while ago, like at least a few months ago.
No.
She just completed her last exam recently. So that's lightning fast to get that.
Yes.
I mean, the only thing I could figure is that she put the whole thing in motion before she actually even got the license. But I mean, from our perspective, if she comes through with a blue cover, she's going to get reciprocity because it means she's met all the requirements. So,
Well, then thank you, because I did not understand that, if that was the case. I mean, as I said, as Angela mentioned, we know that she just passed her final exam like maybe 6 weeks ago, 6 to 8 weeks ago. So, okay, thank
well,
you.
that is lightning fast. I guess the positive of that is that NCARB's processing their applications really quickly.
Going quickly.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty quick. But I mean, but honestly, if she got licensed 6 weeks ago, if she passed the exam 6 weeks ago, that's not unrealistic that within 6 weeks she could have got reciprocity. If she started it literally that day or the next day, it shouldn't have taken more than 6 weeks. So, but that's why she's not on our agenda. So then that makes more sense.
Thank you, Bob, for checking that too.
Good. Anything else? Okay. Manny, I don't know. I know you just got on. I don't know if you had anything because we're on number 3, comments and concerns of persons present today. Okay. Investigations Division complaint status report. Yeah, I can put that on the screen. I think you guys probably have it.
You know what? I'm sorry, Bill.
Yep.
I apologize. I lost my connection. Go real quick just before we leave the subject. I apologize. Going back to Ms. Moore, she was licensed in New York on October 17th, 2022. That's her base state.
So so that's a
Okay.
month ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's how she applied to Connecticut via reciprocity with an NCARB record. She was not an initial licensee. Connecticut was not her initial registration state.
Got it. So I mean, the positives are that NCARB processed it really quickly and we processed it really quickly. Because if she did, she couldn't have done the application before October 18th, really.
Right.
Which is a month ago.
And the reciprocity applications, just by protocol, I'm the one that has been reviewing them and approving them. Unless there was an issue, then it would go before the board.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it.
Sorry to interrupt. Thank you.
No worries. So, so everybody should have this. We still have, I'm trying to make it larger for you. We still have, a fair amount of items that are from, and I know Angela, this was under your comments, that we have items that are just lagging. I mean, I've been trying to chase down why they're taking so long. I keep getting the answer of, well, they're in legal and we can't get information, blah, blah, blah. But there are items on here that are still on here from a long time ago. So,
Mr. Chairman,
yep.
again, and I apologize for reverbing. I am using my personal phone because I had login issues this morning. And when I say that they're in legal and I don't have the information, I'm not trying to put off answers for the architectural board or any of the other boards that have the same questions. The problem is once myself once the investigator gives me the report, I review it and I forward it to the legal department. Then it resides in the legal department until the legal department takes the next steps, whether it's they're going to have a compliance meeting, they're going to have because they're licensed, and then they settle it, or they're not licensed and they're going to put on a hearing in front of the board. We don't, myself, Director Brown, my investigator, or on the occupational side, my inspectors, we don't have any information to provide to anyone. And that's why in the past I have said, and again, not trying not to answer you, sir, or Angela, or Gina, or Luann, or Twig, or anybody else. It's those answers have to come from the legal department, because once I've put them, whether it was me or former Director Newman, sent them upstairs to legal, that is the entity, the division in DCP that would have that answer. I can say that we have received in the 2-month time frame from September 1st of 2022 to October 31st of 2022, that we have received new complaints that are active and open and are being investigated by the investigator. But for the older files that are still there and are an issue for you and the board, that would have to be commented on by whichever attorney is up in legal that is taken over the architectural board. And I apologize, I don't know which attorney that is.
Right, and Janita, we're not blaming you. And I thought at the last meeting that we actually made a request if somebody from legal could be at our meeting. I'm going to make the request of Shannon, if we can get legal at our next meeting, because then maybe they can give us a little bit better of an explanation.
Sure. I believe Cynthia was on the invite list because I have her noted as taking in for attendance. I write everybody's name that was invited. So I don't know, she may have had a prior obligation. I'm not sure.
I will follow up with her for the next meeting.
Sure, no problem.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate it. I know you're not blaming me, but it's kind of like habit where I try to explain the system, and you're not the only chairperson and you're not the only board that asks the question. And it's, I just wanted to put that out there.
Understood. So.
Do any
Okay.
of the members, anybody have any questions besides that?
I don't.
Nope. Thank you, Janita.
You're welcome, Angela.
Thanks, Janita.
You're welcome. And I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And I will see you at the next meeting. And I am going to log off from this so I can continue going to Hartford.
Okay.
Thank you. Happy
Okay,
Thanksgiving.
drive
Happy
safe.
Thanksgiving. I will.
Thanks,
Thank you
Anita.
all. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Nita.
Bye.
Okay, does anybody have any old business? New business? Okay, so spring meeting. I believe, I'm very confident of this, that based on the fact that NECARB funds a person, NCARB's got a new thing where they'll fund a new member, which would be Julia, and then NCARB will fund the other 3 people, that the whole board, all 5 of us can go if we want to go. So I believe everybody's expressed interest in going. So.
And I don't know for the spring, whatever they're calling this, regional meeting, or maybe for June, but
Summer.
I'm on the credentials committee.
Mhm.
So I think they cover my trip to the annual meeting, which would be the June meeting. I
Right.
don't know that they would cover, they might even cover this one too. I don't know, but that's something you could ask.
Fine. So I'll confirm all of that, but I'm really 100% sure because I went over this when we were at our regional meeting. I'll shoot an email out to everybody in the next couple of days, just 100% confirming that, and I'll find out about that, Angela. So,
And then if an MBE goes, they would also be covered under their own
right.
thing.
Right, so that I have to just double check that because NCARB's 3, I think that in addition to the board members, that they cover the MBE also, Shannon. So I'll triple check on that and shoot an email to everybody and say, all right, well, here's the deal for sure, but I'm pretty confident everybody can go. Is everybody interested in going? Twig, you were the only one I wasn't 100% sure of. I think everybody else has told me yes. I think
Yeah,
Lorraine's
I
probably
am.
booked her flights already, so.
Yeah, no, my reservation always is funding, and I always defer to the architects on the board. So if there are a limited number of seats, I would step back.
Yeah, I think because they added this new member one, that allows us to have the extra person, but I'll double check on it and be sure.
Sure.
I'll let you know in the next few days for sure. Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
And
so
sorry, speaking of new MBEs, I think another thing we were gonna check with NCARB is if they had a new NBE training session. I think they do that, or and also new member training. I remember Twig and Lorraine and I went to a new member
Yeah.
event. It was wonderful when we were new on the board.
right, and so I sent after both of those appointments recently, I contacted NCARB and gave them all that information and said, please make sure that they're on the list if there is any new training sessions coming up. So I haven't heard of any new ones, but they're definitely, NCARB definitely has both Shannon and Julia's information to make sure they're contacted if they do a new session. Okay, so the next item is the NCARB governance work group concepts, which I know that everybody's had a chance to kind of glance at. We can talk about it. I mean, at some point, we're not going to have to make any decisions as a board until actual resolution is written. And that won't be until probably after the spring meeting. And so we'll have a couple more opportunities to discuss this. And you should have all gotten an email from NCARB about 3 sessions they're running virtually where they're going to be discussing this. And I believe you can ask questions of some of the committee members. If you haven't gotten that email, let me know. I think one of the dates might have already passed.
Yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Yeah, there you go. So, and then there's 2 more. I know there's one in December and maybe there's one in between someplace. So, so we can discuss anything anybody wants to. We did have some conversation in Hartford for whoever was there. And it's a moving target. I mean, you know, in quick summary, we all know that there's 2 components to this, right? There's the restructure the regions component, in which case region 1 would be with who knows who, but right now one of the proposals is with region 2. And then there's the other component, which is to restructure the national board, so that, you know, there's less people on the XCOM and more directors, and how those directors get sliced up is, you know, a moving target for sure. So happy to have any conversation anybody wants to have about it right now. Angela, I'm sure you have a lot in your agenda there, so.
No, it was a good listening session yesterday. It was yesterday, right?
Yes.
More listening than them talking. There was a lot of great dialogue or, you know, questions coming up. They posed, you know, certain questions to us, and so that was good. So I got the sense that they're going to need, because the listening sessions are spread out quite far. I think the other 2 are first and second or third week in December. So I get the sense that there's so much critical feedback that it's going to take them quite some time to compile all of that and then meet back as a group and decide what to do. So I don't think there's any reason for us to worry or accelerate our conversation. I think it's kind of going to be back in that work group's court.
I agree with you 100%. And I think that nobody even knows what's going to be the end result of what's going to come out as a resolution. So what I would say is, anybody who has any comments, and I know Twigs already sent some comments into them. If you have any comments, just send them to the email that you were given for the governance group.
Hmm.
And I'm sure, as you said, Angela, I'm sure they're bombarded with comments. And so, I mean, I think that they do have a lot on their plate, and it's a lot to get done between now and basically March, because by then they have to be starting to write the final resolution for it. So I also think there's a possibility it gets split up and that there's two separate resolutions, and one is how they restructure the board and the other one is how they restructure the regions, because I know they're tied together, but there's ways around that for sure. So we should keep it on our agenda for the next meeting, just in case there's anything that comes up between now and then. But because you're right, I think the last session is the middle, second week, I think, of December. So when we meet again, there'll be probably some more information out there about it. And then we'll in Hawaii, there'll be a lot of conversation about it, because by then there should be a little more definition on what they're really going to propose.
And what I would like, if possible, is in Hawaii, if we're all there, for us to have our own little session where we discuss the various issues.
Yeah.
Because by then, hopefully
Right.
some things will shake out a little bit. We'll all have learned a little bit more. But I find, frankly, the two issues, even though I know they're connected, I find it much more difficult to deal with than just one at a time. And perhaps that's because I don't fully understand everything. So to me, sitting down and just discussing amongst ourselves what we feel the pros and cons are and the concerns would be really helpful.
I agree. And ultimately, we will have to agree as a board how we vote on the resolution. And I think that restructuring the national board is much simpler than the whole restructuring the regions thing.
I
So,
agree.
Yeah.
Was
So
there any pushback? I didn't hear or read any pushback about restructuring the board. Everything that I read was restructuring the regions.
yeah, there doesn't seem to be much, but there's people in states in the country that'll just fight everything. So there'll be
Oh,
some pushback from
okay.
some people in Region 6 and out west, because they just don't agree with anything in the world. So, I mean, and New York probably too. So, okay. So we'll just keep that on the agenda for now.
I'll just say, just along the lines of Twig's comment, that I did give a little bit of pushback. I don't push too hard because I'm new, and just hearing Lorianne saying she doesn't really understand makes me a little concerned that we've come up with these grand ideas with very little understanding of the real issue and what the real solution is. So I do push back a little bit. I know, Phil, you've heard me, and I guess Angela maybe has heard me say before that the solution to diversity is not grabbing from other areas to make diversity look good. So I am concerned about that's just not a solution. We don't just collect, diverse individuals that are already there to make it look like our region is more diverse. I don't know. I have no understanding of how that's going to solve or help or address the issues that we are hoping to address. So I do push back a little bit.
Well, and with regard to diversity, I think, the problem is no one has figured it out anywhere.
Right.
So it's, nobody has a good methodology of dealing with it. And so everybody is grabbing at straws. I mean, at least that's what I've been seeing
Yeah.
in many different fields.
Yeah.
So, laudable desires. I just don't know if anything necessarily is going to be a solution.
Yeah.
And I understand we're taking steps and this is going to be a process. But yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I agree with you too. And I think that there is some pushback because of that reason, because people aren't seeing this as a, solution to diversity. And then that's the way it's kind of being presented a little bit. So
Right.
There is some pushback from that perspective, Julia. So I think that you're not alone in thinking that. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry, I'll just expand a little bit. I mean, I know the diversity issue has been with NCARB for years, and they have been trying different avenues. So I'm sure there is some reasoning beyond, behind this. But I'm not seeing it. I think the communication is their biggest downfall right now. I just want to see, okay, what's the purpose of this change? What's the purpose of regions in the first place? And, does this
Right.
make it better? So I understand accelerating the pipeline. I think that definitely works, but, I don't know. I remember Mike Armstrong saying years ago, the only solution he could think of was, people step aside to allow for diversity, because he was already frustrated, that it wasn't happening. And then they were trying to contact governors and make sure boards got diverse, but then they realized that was going to take forever. So, this is, again, this is a huge initiative of theirs, and they're trying to get it right, but they need to give us, the real purpose and message. I feel like they threw out a bunch of options and kind of said, hey, we looked at these options, what do you think? And they're not really campaigning and saying, hey, we really think this is going to work, and here's why.
And why?
So,
Well, yeah, I don't think that's because I don't think they have a plan yet.
I
And,
don't think they
you
know.
know, the whole regional thing, look, I've been involved for a long time. This is like every 5 years, there's conversations about redoing all the regions. So this isn't the first time this has come up. And it came up 20 years ago, 15 years ago. So I think they don't, but to your point, Angela, they don't really have a solid plan yet. They don't really know what they think the solution is. And so because of that, it's, it's still a moving target. So I think, there's going to be a lot more conversation in the next couple of months about it. And we'll see if it even ends up as a resolution this year. I mean, I think there's a possibility there could be one resolution only for the board, the national board, and no other resolution yet. And maybe it needs another 6 months or a year to study, because it's going to take some time. So,
Well, they have a couple of task forces going, the one that I had to step back from. So I'm wondering if their best strategy is to separate the two resolutions, let the couple of diversity task forces or committees, whatever, do their work, and then come out with something that's a little bit more fully cooked.
yeah, there is no actual.
Do a better job of presenting what I think I understand what they're trying to do. What I'm not clear on are the implications for the regions that are getting combined. So
Right.
I don't have a real solid grasp on that, and that's part of a New England thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. So,
So, it seems like
okay.
it's a little rushed.
Agreed.
Although they say it's 20 years, they've been working on this for.
Well, it
20
is, but they never came to a resolution on it. So,
Yeah.
So have they considered, or have they in the past gone to outside entities to assist
I
with?
don't know the answer.
What I
Plans for
thought I read
diversity?
somewhere that one of I think it was in an email from a Region 1 board member, that an outside consultant helped to draft this resolution. And
There's not a
it was
resolution.
almost as though the consultant led the 5-person group to the solution they had already predetermined. So I got the impression that there was somebody like Boston Consulting or whatever, that had worked on this with NCARB or with this task force.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know that. I'll have to look back at the emails.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So it's a moving target. There's going to be a lot more conversation about it. We'll keep it on our agenda. So let's move on to the next item. So
One
future
more
meeting.
quick thing, Phil. There was also something in the presentation that said that the task force looked at other organizations to see how they
Mhm.
to see their solutions with the same issue.
Right. And I believe they're doing that.
Yeah, so I think they've done some outreach to independent consultant and to other professional organizations.
Yeah, look, I don't doubt that people are putting a lot of time into doing a lot of research on this, but you have to research the right things and, you come to a lot of different conclusions, so. Okay. Future meetings, everybody probably knows my opinion. I would like the meetings to be in person. I think that somebody at the last meeting said, I don't remember who it was, but somebody from the state, and Shannon, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I thought somebody said that they wouldn't allow us to do them as hybrid, meaning we're either all in person or all online. Am I
That's,
right in that?
that is the current policy that they sent. I can forward it to you after the meeting. Their policy now regarding meetings, and it's got to be either or due to technical issues or obstacles. And then, you do have options as far as, maybe every other meeting, every two, I could forward that to you. It's pretty, it's nothing lengthy. It's pretty
That's
cut and
fine.
dry.
I appreciate that. So, I mean, I want to hear everybody's, thoughts on this. I think I know everybody's thoughts, but I want to hear them anyway. I think one option would be that we only have 6 meetings a year. I think one option would be we do every other meeting in person. The other thing is that although they say we can't do them hybrid, we know we've had situations in the past where if somebody really couldn't make the meeting, we would just put them on the phone. So somebody takes their cell phone and just puts it on speaker, and that person could be at the meeting that way. It doesn't work if we have 3 or 4 people who don't show up for a meeting, but if we decide we're going to do them in person, everybody needs to make an effort to be there in person. But if something comes up and you can't be there, then we can also allow somebody to come in by calling in on the phone line too, even though.
Yeah, I believe confirmation for quorum would be required to,
In person.
for in person, you would have to confirm that quorum 3 days in advance to the date of the meeting.
No, I understand that. So, but if there's 5 of us on the board and 4 of us are there in person and 1 person called on the cell, we have our quorum.
It would
Right,
just
right,
have to
right.
be confirmed 3 days prior, otherwise the
That's fine.
meeting would be canceled.
Understood. All right. So
Okay.
what's everybody's thoughts on this?
I'm kind of lazy. I
know.
overslept this
I knew
morning.
you
I
were
would,
opinion already.
I wouldn't have made the meeting this morning. So I've gotten a little spoiled being retired and joining things from my sunroom.
Well,
Lorraine?
does it have to be at 9 in the morning to maybe better accommodate Twig's schedule? I mean, I'm good with
It's all
everybody.
about me.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, I'll do whatever. For me, it's a lot better. The earlier, the better, because then I get back to my office by lunchtime.
Right.
Look, I don't care if 9:30 or 10 o'clock made a difference, I'll do it. It's
You know,
again,
it
6 times a
really
year.
won't. Yeah. It won't. And when we were doing in-person meetings, I showed up and I showed up on time. So
I'll pick you up if you want.
thank you, Phil.
I have to drive past Milford anyway.
And
Anyway,
we'll all be late.
Lorraine,
I like the idea of every other. I think there is benefit, even though I do work primarily from home. I think there is benefit for these meetings sometimes to be in person. I think we generate more discussion. And that's one of the reasons why I suggested that we talk at Hawaii regarding these big reorganization issues.
I agree.
Every
Angela.
other would be okay.
I'm flexible. I'm good with whatever people want to do.
Julia,
Me too. I'm flexible. Either way works.
fine. So then so Shannon, I don't know, do we need a motion or something? Because, so the proposal, I think that everybody seems to favor right now is we would do every other one. I would suggest that we do the next one virtual because it's in January and I don't want to hear it snowed, we can't make the meeting. And I would be the first to say it because I have to drive an hour to get there. So I would propose we would do January as a virtual, and then the next one, and then every other one after that would be in person.
Yeah, you would need to vote, so I can put that on the minutes and then we can proceed.
Well, then,
forward.
yeah, we need an actual motion though. I don't,
Yeah,
can
yeah.
I make the motion? Can I make the motion as chair? I think I can, right? So,
I'll move.
No, I don't know.
fine.
I'll move that we, commencing in January, we begin every other, but January will be virtual. So
Perfect.
let me
Second.
state that a little better, that we have our meetings in person and virtual every other meeting, beginning with the January meeting being in virtual.
Perfect.
I'll
Can I just-
second. It's Angela.
Excellent. All right, fine. Any more conversation? Seeing none. All in favor?
I,
Hi.
You like
So-
that, Angela?
the other question that we have to deal with, right, is our cards.
I was just gonna, that was next on my list. Absolutely. So,
And I have-
so
I have
Shannon,
a-
we, all of our cards have expired.
Yeah, so I have an email from Aaron, and basically if your card and your swipe, your badge and your swipe card are expired, you would just need to come in, earlier than the meeting and get that situated with security. Aaron would just have to notify security because she's the liaison, the security liaison. So you have your badge that has an expiration date, and then the swipe card, which she was gonna look into, but she pretty much was assuming that everyone's had expired at this time. So,
I mean, unless I'm wrong, maybe I'm just, maybe my brain's not working yet this morning, but I thought I only have a bat. I mean, we don't have two things.
there's
No, I only have
The
a swipe
parking
badge.
swipe.
Can we get
Yeah.
into the garage?
It looks
Yeah.
like one thing, but you have your ID badge with your picture on it with the expiration, and then in back of it is
Okay,
like a
fine.
white.
Okay, but yeah, but it's one piece. It's one thing. Yeah, so.
No, there are two cards in the
Yeah.
plastic envelope.
So
Oh,
got
the other thing that was problematic, though, is that
Yeah.
it expires every 3 months, and
Right.
we need it to be extended beyond
Yeah.
that. Otherwise, every single time we come in for a personal meeting, we are going to have to, redo this.
I did ask that question as far as how long the duration is, and that wasn't determined. There was no determination, but I'll re-ask that question again.
Yeah, because that's true.
Thank
That,
you.
I was gonna say the same thing, is that, I mean, it'll expire between every meeting. Because it used to be if you missed one meeting, it was expired. So.
Yeah, I'll confirm that again if that's gonna be a requirement.
Well,
For
what
you
would be
do-
great is if there is a way to extend the.
Yeah,
authentication
I'll
for a
ask that
year, for
question,
instance.
but the expiration subject wasn't confirmed. In the email was just that the process of getting them up and going again, but I'll re-ask that. Maybe it was missed in my questions and it was overlooked.
Okay, I
And
appreciate
Shannon,
it.
do we need to make an appointment with security, or can we just walk in
She would-
anytime?
Yeah, she would notify them, I guess, the day before the meeting that you would be coming in to do that
And who's
ahead of the meeting.
who's the person that we would have to notify?
Oh, I would let Aaron Walsh
But you-
know.
But you'll tell them, right? I mean, so you should just tell them that a few days before our next
I
board
can
meeting.
definitely let her know, either, if you feel more confident emailing her as well, but I'll definitely do that prior to the meeting so that she knows to get that
okay.
arranged with security.
So
So
we're
we
not
have
gonna
between
do
now
this
and March to
until
figure
March.
this
We'll all go
Right.
in and do it the day of the meeting in March? Is that what we're saying? I
Yeah.
thought we,
That is what.
Okay.
we're saying. But I
Yeah.
mean.
You would come in
but-
earlier than the
Yeah.
meeting to have that taken care of.
Yeah, and Angela, I mean, if you're there for something else, because I know you go there for other things.
yeah, I go to that building all the time. That's why
I
I'm
know,
wondering if
so
I need an
you-
appointment.
Yeah, so I mean, I would just reach out to Aaron then, if you don't have information, get it from Shannon, and you can go anytime you want and get your badge
Okay.
certified. So
All
it
right.
doesn't
So,
have to be the day before the meeting.
Can someone send out the date of the meetings identifying virtual versus in-person on a list or calendar or however.
That would be great. Shannon, can you do that?
I
mean, we
can
have-
retrieve, I believe when Verinda was here, she sent out a letter.
Yeah, no, we have the list, but
Confirmation.
yeah, we have the list. It's just a matter of if we get it redone so that everybody's clear
Yeah.
on which ones are in person and which ones are
I'll
virtual.
just, fill in every other starting in March.
That'd
Yeah,
be
it's at the bottom of this agenda. They're listed and you could amend it for the minutes to say that.
Oh, did you want it in the minutes or do you want it on a separate?
Well, I mean, it's in the minutes. It's in the agenda. It's on the agenda. So there it is at the end of the agenda. So you could just include it if you want to just include it in the minutes for the next one. It's fine. So it'd be
Perfect.
March 17th,
July.
July 21st, and November 17th. Those three will be in person.
That sounds simple and easy. I'll be sure to do that.
Thank you, Shannon.
No problem.
Okay, all right, so we are at 7D. The following candidate has passed the exam and is ready to get licensed in Connecticut. Brianna Lee Thompson. I don't know, is she on the call by any chance this morning, Shannon? Because I think we invited.
No, I
Okay.
did not have anyone by that name come into the meeting.
Okay, fine. So
I'll make a motion to accept her as her initial license in the state of Connecticut.
thank you. Second
I'll second.
conversation. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unanimous. Applications for licensure by waiver. I'm not going to read these, and there's really no action we need. This is for information only, but we have, as usual, a lot, 48 people who want to come licensed in Connecticut. Then applications for corporate practice. Again, these are all approved already. So this is just for information. We have 4 corporations. Unless anybody has any comments, these licenses have already been issued. Comments or concerns of any person present today. So this is on the, somehow this is on the agenda twice. So let's just clean that up, Shannon. So,
I guess going into the meeting, people will have comments and concerns, and then after whatever's discussed through the meeting, sometimes there's residual comments and
that's fine.
concerns.
I mean, it's fine. I mean, because we always give everybody a chance at the end of the meeting to say anything they want anyway. So does anybody have anything else to add? Or any conversations they want?
And to Shannon's point, yeah, all municipal meetings do that too, because you never know what's gonna happen after the meeting goes. I just want to confirm, since this is the last meeting of the year, and Shannon knew that I need the list of all of the licensed, everyone who received a license in Connecticut this year, so that we can do the certificates for them. We're looking at January the 24th.
Did we have that
okay.
discussion in the last meeting? I believe, Rob.
Yeah, and it was that Phil would get in touch with me, but I just
Okay.
wanted you to be aware that I usually got the list from Bob. He sends it to me. He sent it to me every year. I need their email address, I need their license number and their full name. Of everybody who was licensed in 2022. in
Initial
Connecticut.
license.
Initial license in Connecticut.
Okay, so Rob, were you able to pass that information along to Phil?
I didn't start it yet. I could.
Okay.
Right, well, the information needs to go to Gina, not me. Right, and then Gina, when you have everything ready, I'll just run up to your office and sign
Yeah.
it. It's no big
Yeah,
deal.
because then what happens is now that the state doesn't do the certificates anymore, we pick them up and I will give them to Phil, he'll sign them, and then the commissioner signs them as well. So you might even want to coordinate with David Barkin. He'll probably help you with the commissioner's signature if you need that too, when you go, after you pick them up.
Yeah, I guess that would be what Phil would be doing when he gets that information. Okay,
And Phil,
Um,
you're a long way from here. If you need my help or whatever with this, let me know.
He has to
Absolutely.
sign them.
Okay,
so-
never mind.
The chairman of the board signs them and the commissioner signs them. So David always signed them before, and then the commissioner, and that'll be Phil.
Right, so, but to Angela's point, I only have to go, I can go to your office in New Haven and sign them, and then if Angela can help me get in the commissioner's signature, then, or Shannon or somebody, so.
David lives in Woodbridge. If you just David could come by, pick them up at the office after you sign them and bring them up to Hartford even too.
That's fine. So when you get them,
Work it
then
out.
we'll coordinate it. I'm sure this isn't going to be that difficult. So,
Also, and we're looking at January 24th, I believe, that we're gonna do a tour and have a reception for all, whether they're AIA members or not, everyone's invited to that reception as newly licensed in Connecticut. So I'll have more information for you in December, and I'll send it early only because your meeting is the third Friday in January, correct? So it'll be right before that event.
Yes, the 20th. And
Okay.
then, so are you talking about a late afternoon thing on the 24th?
Yes. It usually what we do is because we want to incorporate a tour. Everybody in the past has really liked that. So we're going to try to do some sort of tour of a facility. Usually we try to do a hard hat tour or something because they're all, as we call them, emerging professionals. So I'll let you all know because all the board is invited as well to attend that too. And that's at no charge.
okay, it sounds great. Does anybody have anything else?
Well, I'll say a couple of things. First, thank you, Angela, for stepping in for me with the Yale lecture in September. I appreciate it. I'm sorry I've been missing in action at some events, as you know. What you don't know is my wife has been battling breast cancer, so that has taken up our fall. Beyond that, I would like to say that I agreed with what Julia said. I saw the stuff on NCAR, but I didn't know what was behind it. And just, reassigning districts for the sake of, working their numbers is not doesn't solve the problem. So I agree with what Julia said. And then the last thing that I would say is that there has been a spiked interest in the profession. I've had several calls and people come into the office to speak about wanting to become architects. That's a good thing. And some of them came from our minorities, and they came from Norwalk Community College, which goes to my point about, with all the NCARB events, we always seem to be preaching to the choir. If we really want to reach out to the greater community, we shouldn't just be talking to, the kids who are already in the program, but be speaking and presenting to schools that are sort of a lot of times lead to architecture, like the community colleges. I think that's where we need to be. That's all. And beyond that, have a great holiday.
You as well.
Thanks, Manny. Does anybody else have anything? All right, well, seeing nothing else, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Happy Thanksgiving.
you too, everybody. Turkey
Okay.
Day.
So, happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Safe holidays.
Take care.
Yeah,
Bye.
happy
I
I
holidays.
know,
So
happy holidays.
everybody next year.
Bye.
Yeah.